So let's look through the solutions of the 4 questions that you had for homework on Monday. They were all word problems given with no diagrams. So one of the first things I would recommend doing with problems like this is to start by sketching a diagram. Now, in question 3, we're told that the height of a triangle is 5 centimeters less than its base. So let's sketch a quick triangle here. And we don't know what the base is, so let's call it x. And I'm going to assume that a height means the perpendicular height. So that is going to be 5 centimeters less than the base, x minus 5. We're also told that the area of the triangle is 52 centimeters squared, and we're asked to find the base and the height of the triangle. So, draw a diagram, write down our formulas. The area is half the base multiplied by the perpendicular height, or however you want to write that down. So we know that the base is going to be x, and we know that the perpendicular height is going to be x minus 5, and that we're going to be multiplying that by a half. And we also know the answer, which is that that's equal to 52. What do we do in order to solve this? Well, the first step is to get rid of the fraction. Now remember, this is a single term. Why? Because it's 3 things just multiplied together. So in order to get rid of that fraction, what I need to do is I need to multiply both sides by 2. So I'm going to multiply this side by 2, and I'm going to multiply this side by 2. And what happens is the 2 and the half cancel. So I get 2 by a half by x minus 5 equal to 2 by 52. The 2 and the half divide in to give us 1, and now we're actually solving x by x minus 5 equal to 104. Multiply out the brackets, we get x squared minus 5x equals 104. And this, because I've got an x squared and an x, is going to be a quadratic equation. So bring everything to one side equal to 0. That's the way we need things to be when we have quadratic equations. So you can find factors for this, or you can use the minus b formula. We're looking for something that adds to give me a minus 5 and multiplies to give me a minus 104. So I need to have a plus for one and a minus for the other. How do I know that? Because when they multiply to give me a minus, I've got different signs. So let's see what this could be. 104 divided by 8 is 13. Yeah, 13 and 8 are the numbers that we want. So 8 and 13. Again, if you find that really awkward to do, you can just use your minus b formula. It's perfectly fine to do that. So then I've got my 2 factors, which means that either x is equal to negative 8 or x is equal to positive 13. But we are talking about distance, and we can't have a negative distance. So we get rid of that. But you'll notice something really interesting. X was, of course, the base of my triangle. Base of my triangle is 13 centimeters, and the height of my triangle was 5 centimeters less than that, which is 13 minus 5, 8 centimeters. Notice that has a relationship with that minus 8 there, and that often happens in these type of questions. Right, check. Have I answered my question? They asked me to find the base and the height, which I've done. Have I included units? I have. Okay, so I've answered the question and I've answered in the correct format. That's something you always want to do as a last step with questions, especially with area and volume, where you will lose a mark for units if you leave them out. Now, moving on to question 4. We're told that the hypotenuse of a right-angled triangle is 41 centimeters. The first thing I'm going to do here, before I read any further, is sketch out a right-angled triangle and mark in that its hypotenuse is 41 centimeters. Hypotenuse being the longest side of my right-angled triangle. The sum of the other 2 sides of the triangle is 49. but we don't know what those are. Now, I don't want to have two unknowns here. Okay, so what I know is that, let's call this A and this one B. I know that A and B add together to give me 49, which means that if I want to, I can just write A as 49 minus B. Or the other way around, B is 49 minus A. So basically what I want to do here is, rather than having two unknowns, I'm going to have one of them, which I'll call A, and the other one, which I'll call 49 minus A, because when I add those together, I get 49. But now I'm only using one unknown in terms of my calculations. Do I have enough information to find the lengths of these sides? Well, I do, because it's a right-angled triangle, so we know that the square of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares of the other two sides. So I'm going to use Pythagoras Theorem. And by Pythagoras Theorem, these two shorter sides, A and 49 minus A, will be equal to 41 squared. So I square out my brackets. I can use the shortcut, or I can multiply it out whatever way I like, and I get A squared plus 49 squared. It's okay if it's a big number, that's why we have calculators. 2,401. The product, minus 49 and double it, 98A, and square the last, A squared. I'm also going to square 41, so it's equal to 41 squared, 1,681. So again, because I have a square and a normal one, I know this is a quadratic, so I bring everything to one side, gathering my like terms at the same time. 2401 minus 1681 equal to 0. And that gives me 2a squared minus 98a, 2401 minus 1681, gives me 720. Now, because I can, I will divide across by 2. You can see these are all even numbers, so I can just make this quadratic a little bit simpler. A squared minus 49a plus 720 divided by 2 is 360, equal to 0. So I'm looking for factors. And 360 let's see, 360 divided by 12 maybe, 12 and 30. So what we want is two numbers that will add to give me a minus 49 and multiply to give me 36. They must both be the same sign because they're multiplying to give me a plus, and they must both be minus. 12 and 30 gives me 42. I'm close, but not quite there. 360 divided by 13. I'm just checking these values on my calculator. It doesn't go in. 360 divided by 14. No, 360 divided by 15. 15 and 24. There we go, 15 and 24. So either A is equal to 15 centimeters or A is equal to 24 centimeters. Both of these are valid answers, and you'll notice that they add up to 49 centimeters, which is, so if this one was 15, this one would be 24, but if this one is 24, this one would be 15. So my answers are the other two sides. The other sides are 15 centimeters and 24 centimeters. And we can see they do add up to 49. And also when I square them and add them together, I get the square of 41. So you can always double check your answer by checking, does it make sense with the information that we were given at the beginning, which it does. Okay, question 5 then. So question 5 tells us a rectangular wooden frame is built to lay a concrete foundation for a patio, And to support the frame while the concrete is being poured, steel cables are fixed diagonally across the rectangle and they protrude out of the frame by 50 centimeters. So we're given a description of what's going on here, but no diagram. So the first thing I'm going to do is sketch a diagram. And you don't need to use a ruler when you're sketching it. You can, if you find that it's neater. What we have is a rectangular frame with diagonal cables coming across it like this. And I haven't maybe drawn it to scale in any way, but we're told that these guys protrude out by 50 centimeters in all directions. The perimeter of the frame is 14 meters. So my perimeter is 14 meters. And now we're dealing with meters and centimeters. So let's change these guys to 0.5 meters. Or change this to centimeters. It doesn't matter, but you need to use the same units for both of them. And the length of the frame is 1 meter longer than its width. So if this is my width, let's call it x, then the length, just because I've drawn it this way, I'll call the shorter one x and the longer one is 1 meter longer, x plus 1. Okay, and we're asked to find the length of the steel cable required to make this X shape here. So what do we need to do? First of all, if we can find out the lengths of these sides, then straight away we've got a right angle triangle and we'll be able to find this diagonal length here, and then we can add on a meter and then we can double it. Okay, so that's the procedure that we need to go through. Find X using the perimeter information. Use Pythagoras to find the diagonal. Then we're going to add 1 meter. Why 1 meter? Half a meter and half a meter on either end. And then double it because we have 2 cables. So let's go through that procedure. I know that my perimeter is going to be my 2 widths and my 2 lengths added together, which gives me 4x plus 2. But I also know that my perimeter is 14 meters. So that means that 4x is equal to 14 minus 2, 12, and x is equal to 3 meters. So this is 3 meters and this is 4 meters. Sketch out my right-angled triangle, half of the rectangular frame. I've got 4 meters down here. I've got 3 meters down here. I'm not sure if for third year you would have learned off this special triangle, but the hypotenuse is going to be 5. It's my 3, 4, 5 triangle. Let me show you why. My hypotenuse squared is 3 squared plus 4 squared. So my hypotenuse squared is 9 plus 16, which is 25. Then square root both sides, the hypotenuse is 5 meters. It's allowable for you to learn off that triangle. The 5, 12, 13 triangle and the 3, 4, 5 triangles are the 2 special right angle triangles that we can just use without using Pythagoras Theorem. Okay, so now I know this diagonal. I said I need to add 1 meter, so 1 cable has a length of 5 plus 1, 6 meters, and 2 cables will be double that, 2 by 6, which is 12 meters. Now, let's just double check. Have I answered the question? Find the length of steel cable required. 12 meters of steel cable are what is required for this question. Okay, so looked like a difficult question, but once we broke it down with the diagram and thought about the steps, we were able to answer it quite quickly. Finally, question 6. We're given a scalene triangle. So a scalene triangle means we have 3 different side lengths. It's not clear which one's the longest here. I'd say this is my biggest side, this is my second biggest side, and this is my sorry, biggest angle, second biggest angle, and my smallest angle down here. In a scalene triangle, the smallest angle is 2/3 of the size of the middle angle, and the middle angle is 3/7 of the size of the largest angle. Okay, so sounds really complicated. Let's start by saying that the smallest angle is x, okay? So my smallest angle is x, and it is 2/3 of this. Okay, so if we multiply it, I'm going to make it bigger, 3/2x here, 3x/2. And you can do this either way around. I like to start with the smallest one and go bigger. So the second biggest angle, the middle angle, is 3x/2 because x is 2/3 of the middle angle. If you work it the other direction, you'll get the same answer. You'll just maybe start with x in the biggest angle. And we also know that this one is, so 3x/2 is 3/7 of the largest angle. So that means if I multiply it by 7/3, so 3x/2 multiplied by 7/3, which gives me 7x/2 for my largest angle. And what I'm saying then is that if I want to find the values of the angles, I know that all three of them add up to, all three add to 180 degrees. So that means that x plus 3x/2 plus 7x/2 is going to be equal to 180. So let's multiply everything by 2. We'll multiply this by 2, multiply this by 2, multiply this by 2, and multiply this by 2 because I want to get rid of the fractions. Giving me 2x plus 3x plus 7x equal to 360, and 12x is equal to 360, which means that x is equal to 30 degrees. Okay, so my angles, the smallest angle should be 30 degrees. My middle angle should be 3 times 30/2, which is 45 degrees. And my biggest angle should be 7 times 30/2, which is 105 degrees. Let's check if that matches the information that we were given. First of all, do they add up to 180 degrees? They do. Okay, 75 plus 105 is 180 degrees. The next one is 30 equal to 2/3 of 45? Which it is, of course. You can just check it in your calculator. 2/3 of 45. Okay, and so that's yes. The second question is 45 equal to 3/7 of 105? And again, 3/7 of 105 gives us 45, which it is. Okay, so we've proven that we have worked out the correct answers there. You may have done this a different way. You might have started by saying that this was x, and then that this was 3x/7, and then that this was 3x/7 by 2/3. And you'll get the same answer. You won't get the same answer for x. You'll get x equals 105, and then you'll work out the other ones from there. It just depends on which way around you prefer to think about it. Okay, so a bit of a tricky question, and having to work with algebraic fractions as well. Okay, thank you.